She cheated with my brother. You ever have a moment where time just stops? Not in a poetic way. I mean actually stops. Like your brain can't figure out what's happening, so everything freezes. That was me. Standing in the hallway. One hand still on the doorknob. Looking at my wife and my brother. And both of them looking back at me like deer in headlights. That's how it started. Well, that's how I found out. The actual start, the real beginning, was probably months earlier. Maybe even longer. But that was the moment everything in my life split in two, before and after. I should probably back up. My name's Adam. I'm 34. I work in construction management. Nothing glamorous, but I'm good at it. Pays the bills. Keeps me busy. My wife, her name's Lauren. We were together for 6 years, married for almost 4. We had our issues, like anyone, but I thought we were solid. And my younger brother, Trevor? He'd just gotten back from the Marines. For years overseas. Came home lean, clean, and full of that quiet confidence those guys carry. I was proud of him. Always had been. He didn't have a place yet, so I offered our guest room for a few weeks. Just until he got settled. Lauren didn't object. In fact, she seemed enthusiastic. Said it'd be good for him to be around family again. Said it might even help us reconnect, since I'd been working long hours. In hindsight, that was a hell of a thing to say. At the time, I didn't think twice about it. I was happy to have my brother home. We hadn't been close in a while, not since college, but that was just life pulling us in different directions. No bad blood. So there we were. Me, Lauren, and Trevor. Under one roof. The first few days were fine. Uneventful. I was gone most of the day, sometimes early mornings and late nights depending on site schedules. I'd come home tired, scarf down dinner, maybe watch half a movie before passing out. Lauren worked from home. Marketing consultant. She had meetings during the day, but she made her own hours. Trevor, well, he just hung around. Said he was job hunting, but mostly he hit the gym and took his time figuring things out. Fair enough, he'd earned that after what he'd been through. At first, I didn't notice anything weird. Lauren was in a better mood than usual. She laughed more. Made dinner more often. Even started working out again, something she hadn't done in months. And Trevor was always polite. Grateful. Helped around the house. Looking back, that was the first red flag. They were too comfortable. Too synchronized. One night I came home early. Rain shut the site down. I walk in and hear music coming from the kitchen. They're both in there, laughing over a glass of wine. She's in yoga pants, barefoot, dancing around like she's 22 again. And he's watching her. Not just watching, watching. I stood there for a second too long. She noticed me first. "Oh, hey babe, you're home early." Big smile. Like nothing was weird. And maybe it wasn't. Maybe I was just tired and overthinking it. I forced a smile, kissed her on the cheek, and grabbed a beer from the fridge. Trevor patted me on the shoulder and said something about a job lead. We had dinner. We talked. Everything was normal. But it wasn't. That night, when I crawled into bed, Lauren was already asleep. Or pretending to be. I lay there staring at the ceiling, heart beating just a little too fast. Something felt off. But I didn't have proof. Just a gut feeling. And you know what I told myself? Don't be paranoid. She's your wife. He's your brother. They'd never. Yeah. That's what I told myself. And 3 days later, I walked in on them. Together. And my world stopped. It was a Thursday. Nothing special about it, at least at first. I was supposed to be on site all day. We were pouring a slab, and I had meetings lined up after. But one of the trucks blew a tire that morning, the pour got delayed, and everything backed up. I figured I'd call it a day early. Get home, surprise Lauren with lunch. Maybe catch a breather for once. I pulled into the driveway around 12:30. Her car was there. Trevor's too. Not unusual. He didn't have a job yet. She worked from home. Totally normal. Until I stepped inside. First thing I noticed, the silence. No TV. No music. Not even the hum of her phone on speaker. Just quiet. And then I heard something. Not voices. Not at first. It was more like muffled noise. Movement. A thump. A laugh soft. Coming from upstairs. My stomach dropped. You know that feeling when something's off, but your brain doesn't want to admit it yet? Yeah. That. I told myself I was being stupid. Maybe she was on a Zoom call. Maybe Trevor fell asleep and snored loud or something. But my legs were already moving. Up the stairs. Slowly. Like I didn't want to wake the truth. Our bedroom door was closed. That was the final red flag. She never closed it during the day. I stood there for a second. Just listened. There was another sound. Sheets. Movement. A voice, hers. And I knew. IF asterisk 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 ing knew. I wish I could say I kicked the door down or burst in with some heroic speech. I didn't. I opened it like a guy walking into his own funeral. And there they were. In our bed. Together. Lauren gasped. Trevor jumped like he'd been electrocuted and scrambled to grab his jeans from the floor. She pulled the blanket over herself like that somehow made it better. For a second, none of us said anything. Then Lauren opened her mouth. Adam, wait. Don't, I said. My voice didn't even sound like mine. Trevor looked like a ghost. He didn't say a word. I looked at both of them, then just turned around and walked out. That was it. That was the moment everything I thought I knew, my marriage, my family, who I was, snapped in half. I didn't even grab my keys. Just walked outside, got in my truck, and sat there, staring at the steering wheel. I must have sat like that for a good hour. Then I started driving. Didn't know where. Didn't matter. Anywhere but there. I ended up driving north. Didn't plan it. Just followed the highway, letting the lanes take me wherever they wanted. I wasn't thinking straight. Honestly, I don't even remember half the drive. It was early afternoon, but the sky looked gray. Not rain gray. Just dull. Like the whole world had gone colorless. I pulled into a gas station a couple hours out. Middle of nowhere. Picked up a bottle of water, some jerky, and stood by the truck like I was waiting for something. I wasn't. I was just empty. You ever feel that? Not sadness. Not rage. Just this blank, like your soul left the building and didn't leave a note. That's what it felt like. I checked my phone. 2 missed calls. 1 from Lauren. 1 from Trevor. No surprise. I turned it off and shoved it in the glove box. I didn't want to hear her voice. I sure as hell didn't want to hear his. I drove a little more, then pulled off near a trailhead I remembered from years back. There was a lookout point up there, just a short hike. I used to go with my dad sometimes when I was a kid. I figured, what the hell? Might as well move my legs. Took me 20 minutes to get to the top. My lungs burned. My knees weren't thrilled either. But when I got up there, the view hit me. Trees stretching out forever. Wind brushing past like it didn't care about anything. The whole damn world just carrying on, like nothing happened. I sat on a rock and stared for a long time. And then I cried. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just sat there, head in my hands, letting it come out. I don't even know if I was crying because she cheated, or because it was him. Trevor. The kid I used to push on a swing. The one I took to his first football game. He used to follow me around like a shadow. Looked up to me. And now? Now he's slept with my wife. I mean, how do you even process that? It wasn't just betrayal. It was betrayal with my own DNA. And the worst part? I didn't see it coming. That's what kept running through my head. Not the act itself, not them in bed, but how I'd been so damn blind. I should have noticed the long looks, the easy way they joked, the tension when I walked into a room. But I trusted them. I really, really trusted them. That's what stings the most. You build your life thinking certain people are safe, unshakable. And then one ordinary Thursday, you find out they're not. Everything shifts. By the time the sun dipped behind the trees, I felt cold. Not from the weather, just from reality finally sinking in. This wasn't a bad dream. This was my life now. I made it back to the truck just after sunset. Sat in the cab with the heater on full blast and stared at the windshield. No idea where to go. No idea what to do next. All I knew was one thing. I wasn't going back home tonight. I checked into a cheap roadside motel about an hour down the highway. You know the kind. Fluorescent lights, thin walls, a bedspread that's seen too much life. I didn't care. I just needed a door I could lock behind me. The clerk asked if I was traveling for business or pleasure. I almost laughed. Neither, I said. He didn't press. Room 112. Smelled like old air freshener and something faintly burnt. I sat on the edge of the bed for a while, just staring at the floor. I wasn't angry. Not yet. That would come later. Right then, it was like my brain had gone into emergency mode. Everything slowed down. My thoughts got cleaner, sharper, almost surgical. I pulled out a notebook from my backpack, the one I always kept for jog notes, sketches, plans. Now it had a different purpose. I wrote one word on the top of the page, exit. Then I made a list. Bank accounts, work schedule, storage unit, friends I could trust, lawyer, and at the very bottom, what I'm owed. Not in money, not in revenge, just clarity, truth, peace. It's strange. When something like this happens, you think you'll fall apart. But sometimes, the opposite happens. You lock in. You plan. That night, I didn't sleep much. The bed was stiff, the room too quiet. I laid there and replayed things in my head. All the little signs. The things Lauren said in the last few weeks. How she stopped asking about my day. How she started sleeping in later. How she started keeping her phone screen tilted away from me. And Trevor. God. I remembered that Sunday when we were watching the game. I went to grab beers from the kitchen, and when I came back, she was sitting on the couch beside him, closer than she should have been. I brushed it off. Thought, they're just comfortable. We're all family. What a joke. The next morning, I checked my phone. Turned it on, with a sigh like I was opening a fresh wound. 9 messages. 4 missed calls. All from her. The last one just said, "Please come home. I'm so sorry. We need to talk." I stared at it for a long time. Then hit delete. I wasn't ready for her voice. Not yet. I wasn't ready to look at Trevor either. Hell, I wasn't even sure I'd ever be. But I was ready for something else. I was ready to take back control. So I called into work. Told them I needed a few days. Didn't give a reason. Then I drove back toward town. Not to the house, not yet. To the bank. I walked in like it was just another Tuesday. Told them I needed to update my personal account info. Moved half of our joint savings into an account under my name only. Closed out a card I didn't use anymore. It was the first move. A small one. But it felt good. Like I wasn't just sitting in the wreckage anymore, I was doing something. By the time I got back in the truck, I'd already decided. I wasn't going to fight for the house. She could have it. Let them both sit in it. Let them enjoy the echoes. I didn't want that place anymore. It was never gonna feel like home again. 2 days after I left, I went back to the house. I didn't tell her I was coming. Didn't text. Didn't knock. Still had my keys. It was early afternoon. Her car was there. His gone. I walked in, and the smell hit me first. Not bad. Just familiar. Our house. The mix of detergent, her shampoo, coffee. And it hurt. Not because I missed it, but because I didn't anymore. I stood in the hallway, looking at the same pictures we hung 2 years ago, and felt absolutely nothing. She came downstairs in a sweatshirt and leggings, barefoot. When she saw me, she froze. Adam. I held up a hand. I'm not here to talk. Just here for my stuff. She nodded slowly. Didn't argue. Didn't beg. Just watched me walk past her, like she didn't know who I was anymore. To be honest, I didn't know who she was either. Upstairs, I grabbed a few essentials. Clothes, my laptop, a box of documents. Didn't touch anything we shared. She stood in the doorway, arms crossed. I could feel her eyes on me the whole time. Finally, she said, "You don't want to at least talk?" I turned to her. Talk about what? You and my brother? How long you've been lying to my face? She looked down. I didn't mean for it to happen. I actually laughed. Is that supposed to make it better? She took a step in. He was just here. You were gone all the time. I felt lonely. I cut her off. She blinked. I don't know. Lost. I nodded slowly. And sleeping with my brother fixed that? Her mouth opened, but no words came out. I didn't wait. I grabbed the last bag, brushed past her, and stopped halfway down the stairs. One more thing. Where is he? She hesitated. He's staying with a friend. Tell him I said congratulations, I said, turning back with a cold smile. He finally got something of mine. I walked out and didn't look back. I dropped my stuff at a buddy's place. Greg, guy I knew from work. Divorced. Quiet. Knew how to keep to himself. Told him I needed a couch for a bit. He didn't ask questions. Just handed me a beer and nodded toward the guest room. I crashed early that night. Didn't dream. Didn't need to. Reality was loud enough. The next day, I called a lawyer. Nice guy. Firm handshake, straight shooter. He asked a few questions, didn't blink when I said, she cheated. With my brother. He gave me a look. Not pity, just something close to understanding. We'll keep it simple, he said. Clean break. You want alimony? No. The house? No. Just one out. I nodded. Exactly that. He wrote something down, then said, You sure about not going after him too? I paused. Could've. Maybe I should've. But I shook my head. I'm not wasting another minute on either of them. And that was that. We signed the initial paperwork. I walked out of his office, got in my truck, and stared at the street ahead. I didn't know where I was going. But for the first time in a while, I knew exactly where not to go. It happened on a Tuesday. I was grabbing coffee after work, just trying to kill time. The kind of evening where you don't want to go anywhere that feels like home, because home doesn't exist anymore. Phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something told me to answer. Hello? Silence. Then, Adam. Hey. It's me. I didn't need him to say his name. I knew that voice. Trevor. My jaw clenched so tight, I thought my teeth might crack. He said, "Can we talk?" I didn't answer. Just talk, man. Please. Not about her. Just us. Us. Like there was still an us. I let the silence stretch until it hurt, then finally said, "Where?" We agreed to meet at a park halfway between where he was staying and Greg's place. Neutral ground. It was nearly empty when I got there. Just a few folks walking dogs. Light breeze. Sky turning orange. I spotted him on a bench under a big oak. Same buzz cut. Same nervous look I remembered from when we were kids and he broke Mom's vase. Except this wasn't a vase. I walked over. Didn't sit. He looked up. "Thanks for coming." I didn't say anything. "I didn't plan it, Adam," he said quickly. "I swear. It wasn't like that." "Like what?" I said. "Like sleeping with your brother's wife?" "How was it, exactly?" He dropped his head. "I messed up. I know that." "No," I said. "You didn't mess up. You made a choice. Every single time. Don't sugarcoat it." He winced. "I looked up to you," he said. "I still do." I nearly laughed. "You looked up to me while you were in my bed with my wife?" He nodded. "I hate myself for it, man. I really do. I've been trying to figure out how to fix this." "You can't." "I know." "But—" "No, Trevor. You can't. You broke something that doesn't get put back together. Not ever." We sat in silence. Well, he sat. I stood. Finally he said, "I'm not with her. Not anymore. That's supposed to make me feel better? I just thought you should know." I crossed my arms. "I don't care who you're with. I don't care where you sleep. I don't even care if you're sorry." He looked up at me. "That bad?" "No. It's worse. Because this wasn't just cheating. This was you. And her. You both knew what it meant. And you did it anyway." His mouth opened, but nothing came out. I nodded toward the path. "You should go. Adam. Go." He stood slowly. "You're still my brother." "No," I said, stepping back. "I was your brother. You gave that up." He didn't say another word. Just walked away. Head down. Shoulders low. I watched him go. Didn't feel better. Didn't feel worse. Just felt done. And that, I think, was the start of real peace. After that talk with Trevor, I didn't go back to Greg's. I drove. Just kept driving. Windows down, wind loud in my ears, like the sound could drown out what I was feeling. Somewhere outside the city, I saw a motel with a flickering neon sign and pulled in without thinking. Paid cash. Took the key. Room 9. It was bare. Bed, chair, little desk. Faded carpet. And it felt perfect. That night, I just sat on the floor with my back against the wall. Lights off. My old hoodie on. Bottle of water in my hand like it was something stronger. I didn't cry. Didn't rage. Didn't spiral. I just breathed. And weirdly, that's when it hit me. This was the first time in months I wasn't walking on eggshells. I didn't have to pretend. Didn't have to smile through the tension or guess if she was lying again. I was alone. And that meant I was finally free. You don't realize how heavy the weight is until it's gone. In the morning, I woke up before my alarm, not out of anxiety, but habit. For once, I didn't feel that pit in my stomach. No dread waiting for me in the next room. No fake small talk over burnt coffee. I checked my phone. Just one message from my lawyer. "Divorce papers were filed this morning. She's been served." I stared at the screen for a long time. then just typed one word. Thanks. After that, I went for a walk. Nothing special. Just the strip of road behind the motel, past a row of gas stations and auto shops. But man, even that felt different. The sky looked a little clearer. The air smelled like gas and pine needles, and somehow, I didn't mind. I stopped by a diner. Sat in a booth alone. Ordered eggs and toast. Watched people come and go. No one knew me. No one cared what happened. And I liked that. You get used to being someone something. Husband. Brother. Son. Then one day you're just a guy drinking bad coffee at a roadside diner. And you know what? That felt honest. After breakfast, I found a local hardware store and bought a cheap duffel bag. Mine was too full, packed in a rush back when I was just trying to escape. Now I wanted to repack. Start fresh, even in small ways. Back in the room, I laid everything out on the bed. Folded shirts properly. Tossed a couple things I didn't need. Went through old receipts and tossed most of those too. One of them was from a weekend trip Lauren and I took last fall. I held it in my hand for a second, then tore it in half. Not out of spite. Just done. That night, I called my mom. First time since it all went down. I kept it simple. Told her we were splitting up. Told her I didn't want to talk about Trevor. She cried. I didn't. Come home for a while, she said. Just until you get on your feet. I thanked her. Told her maybe. But I knew I wouldn't. I didn't want to be around familiar places. Familiar people. I wanted space. Silence. A world where no one looked at me with pity. So I stayed in that motel 3 more nights. During the day, I started sketching again, something I hadn't done since college. Just little things. Corners of buildings. Trucks. Trees. And for once, my mind wasn't buzzing with what they were doing or who said what. It was just lines. Shadows. Paper. I even cracked a smile once. Real one. Caught myself in the mirror and almost didn't recognize the guy. And that's when I knew. I wasn't broken. Just bruised. And bruises heal. On the 5th day, I checked out of the motel. Not because I had somewhere to be, but because I was tired of temporary. I needed something solid, even if it was small. Even if it wasn't home yet. I found a short-term rental outside of town. One of those old cabins people usually use for fishing weekends. Wood panel walls, squeaky screen door, weak cell service. It was perfect. The guy who owned it was friendly enough. Didn't ask too many questions. Just handed me the keys and said, "Watch out for raccoons." Deal? That first night there, I sat out on the tiny porch with a cup of black coffee and watched the stars. Real stars, not the faint ones you barely see from the suburbs. And I realized something. This was the first place that didn't carry their shadows. No memories of Lauren. No arguments in the kitchen. No laughing with Trevor in the garage. Just me. The dark. And a breeze that didn't care who I used to be. I started sleeping better. Still woke up early. That habit wasn't going anywhere. But now I didn't dread it. I got up, brewed coffee, stepped outside barefoot, and listened to the forest breathe. I started running again. Just a couple miles at first. Slow pace. Nothing heroic. But every time my feet hit the gravel, I felt like I was putting something behind me. Like every step was one less memory weighing me down. I kept a notebook on the counter and wrote whatever came to mind. Not deep stuff. Just scraps. Sentences. Questions. One morning I wrote, "If you take everything away, your job, your marriage, your family, what's left?" I stared at that sentence for a long time. Didn't answer it. Just left it there. Later that day, I drove into town and walked into a local supply store. Ended up talking to the woman at the counter, maybe mid-30s, plaid shirt, ponytail, no makeup. She asked if I was new around here. I told her I was passing through. She smiled. Aren't we all? I laughed. First real laugh in weeks. Funny how strangers can say the right thing without even knowing it. She gave me a tip about a nearby trail. I went the next morning. Hiked to a quiet ridge where you could see all the way down the valley. And up there, no noise. Just wind and distant bird calls. And that's when I let myself think about them again. Not with rage. Not with pain. Just curiosity. Where were they now? Living together? Pretending everything was normal? Did he feel guilt? Did she? Did it even matter? I sat on a rock and stared out at the sky and realized, no. It didn't. That was their mess now. And I had my own life to clean up. It didn't mean I'd forgiven them. It didn't mean I was healed. But it did mean I wasn't going to drag their names into every mile of my future. They didn't get to come with me. Not even as ghosts. That night, I cooked a real dinner for the first time in ages. Chopped vegetables, grilled chicken, poured a glass of wine. No takeout box. No microwave hum. Just silence, and the smell of something I made for me. After, I put on an old playlist I hadn't touched since before the whole thing blew up. I thought it would bring back memories. And it did, but they didn't hurt like before. One of the songs that played on our road trip to Colorado. I remembered her feet on the dashboard. The way she sang off-key. And instead of pain, I just smiled a little. That moment was gone. But it didn't own me. I still existed. Even after her. Even after him. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. Phone rang while I was chopping wood. It was a number I didn't recognize, but something in me knew exactly who it was. I let it ring twice. 3 times. Then picked up. Hello? Pause. Then her voice, quiet, cautious. Adam. It's me. I didn't say anything. I wasn't sure you'd answer. Still nothing. She took a breath. I heard from your lawyer. I got the papers. No surprise there. That was the whole point. I wanted to talk. Just once. No yelling. No excuses. I cut her off. Lauren, what are you hoping to get out of this? Silence. I don't know, she finally said. I guess. I hoped you'd hear me out. Not for fixing anything. I know that's off the table. I wanted to say some things. I sat down on a stump and stared out at the clearing. The wind had picked up. She continued. I've been in therapy. I've been trying to understand what the hell I was thinking. Why I did what I did. I still didn't speak. Just let her talk. I blamed a lot on you at first. Said you were distant, always working. That we were drifting. But that's not why it happened. Not really. Another breath. I think I wanted to blow it all up. I think I knew something was wrong inside me, and instead of facing it, I picked the worst possible exit. Still quiet on my end. I don't expect forgiveness. Honestly, I don't think I deserve it. But I didn't want the last words between us to be nothing. That one hit me a little. Because the truth was, we didn't have a last conversation. I left. She cried. I vanished. That was it. No fight. No closure. Just ashes. I finally spoke. I don't hate you, Lauren. She sounded surprised. You don't? No. But I don't trust you. And I don't want you in my life. Another pause. Then softly, that's fair. I'm not carrying this forever, I added. It happened. It burned everything down. But I'm not sitting in the fire anymore. she sniffled. I could tell she was holding it together. You were a good husband, Adam. Better than I knew how to be a wife to. I nodded to myself. Too late to say that, but thanks anyway. More silence. Then she said, He left, by the way. Trevor. 2 weeks ago. I didn't react. He said he couldn't look me in the eye anymore. Said it felt wrong waking up next to me. Well, I said, at least now he knows how I felt. That was the only thing close to bitterness I let out. She didn't push it. I won't call again, she said finally. I just needed to say it. I paused for a beat, then said, All right. Then I ended the call. I sat there a while, phone resting in my hand, heart beating a little too loud. And you know what the strangest part was? I didn't feel wrecked. Didn't feel angry. Didn't feel anything really. Just relief. Not because she apologized. Not because she said the right things. But because that door, the one I left swinging open in the back of my mind, had finally clicked shut. She said her piece. I said mine. Weeks passed. Then a month. Then 2. I didn't count the days. I didn't mark the calendar. I just lived. I kept to the cabin. Started doing some handyman work for locals. Fixing porches, patching roofs, digging trenches. Word spread fast in small places. Folks liked that I showed up on time and didn't talk much. Felt good. Felt simple. Some nights I sat out by the fire pit behind the cabin, sipping coffee or the occasional beer. Sometimes music, sometimes silence. Once in a while, I'd think of her. Of him. But only in passing. Like background noise in a memory that no longer meant anything. The truth is, pain doesn't leave all at once. It leaks out slowly. Like poison sweating through your skin. And when it's gone, you don't feel healed. You just feel quiet. One evening, I walked into the diner again. The same one where I'd sat alone not long after everything blew up. The woman behind the counter, same one from before, looked up and smiled. Back again, she said. Guess so, I replied. She poured me coffee without asking. We talked a little that time. Just easy stuff. Where I was from. What I did. Nothing deep. No baggage. Turned out her name was Rachel. Divorced, like me. Worked mornings and painted in the evenings. She wasn't trying to impress me. And I wasn't trying to be impressive. That's what made it feel okay. Over the next few weeks, I stopped in more often. Not every day. Not like clockwork. But enough that she started sitting down with me when the place got quiet. We didn't talk about our pasts. Not at first. We just shared time. And man, you forget how much that matters, just sharing time. One night, I helped her fix a leaky pipe behind the counter. She joked I should be charging her. I said, You already paid me in bad coffee and good company. She laughed. That kind of laugh that doesn't come with any expectations. That night, walking back to the cabin under a sky full of stars, I stopped by the edge of the woods. Just stood there for a minute. And it hit me. I wasn't lost anymore. I hadn't forgotten what happened. I didn't forgive what they did. But it didn't define me now. It was just a chapter. And that chapter was over. I was still standing. Still breathing. Still me. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough.